Thank you so much. I'm happy to be with everybody today. It's a blessed day, Tuesday. I hope your businesses are blessed and highly favored. Deals are coming in, contracts are getting sold, follow-ups. I actually had a follow-up this week, was originally a cold call, literally called the guy 15 times. Okay, so I looked back in my follow-up boss and I had original cold call, had the consultation, and then had to follow up. And I'm going to be meeting him on Friday. He's ready to move forward with listing the house. But with that to say is the fortune is in the follow-up, guys. So I hope you're getting appointments, getting opportunities. Happy to be here with you today. Happy to be training on this topic, probate cash offers. This is a thing, okay? And obviously, because of the obvious reasons, grandma and grandpa's house normally does need a couple repairs, right? So we're going to jump in this today, and I hope that it provides value for anybody out there that's just getting started into probate, starting to get some deals kicked up, starting to work with some families. Cash offers are part of probate real estate. Okay. So you need to be familiar with them. You need to know how to handle them. And I also want to go ahead and let you know tomorrow, if you have not signed up, tomorrow we are launching the probate masterclass. So I am going to be spending an hour-ish. Let's see how long, you know, that sometimes I talk a lot. So let's see how I do on time. But I will be doing a master class tomorrow on probate from cold call all the way to closing and how you can tap into this market. You can be getting consistent business from probate, not only making money, not only getting consistency in your business, but you're also going to be helping the world, guys. Okay. These families in probate need help. Okay. So for me, probate has been a banana split because I can help people in need. I can help people. I feel like, valuable in the marketplace, but at the same damn time, I'm making money. So it's literally the best of both worlds. You're helping people and you're making money. And that's what I love about probate. I see somebody wrote here, most of my deals are probate. Amazing. Me too, my friend. Me too. So today I'm going to be breaking down cash offers. So when you work in probate, you know, 9 times out of 10, of course, we all know people that have passed away way before their time, right? We've all had friends that have passed away in their 30s, their 40s, you know. Nobody knows, right, guys? Like, we don't know how long the good Lord is going to give us here on this earth, right? But typically, people are passing away when they're older, right? People, you know, when you get in your 80s, your 90s, you know, 70s, like people pass away when they're older. When older people live in houses, they typically don't really care so much about the cosmetics of the house, right? So it's very common for you to be able to walk into properties and be able to see like an original kitchen or carpet or even wallpaper, right? Because they're happy with that. That's all they've known all their life, and they're happy with that arrangement, right? What I also see a lot of times with older people is they don't really want contractors in their house. Sometimes I've heard families tell me like we would have, you know, the AC guy to go over there, but mom wouldn't let them in the house. You know, they kind of get a little protective as they get older. So things can start breaking down, right? Because a house is living and breathing, right? So if they haven't taken care of the air conditioning, or, you know, maybe they got a new roof, but they didn't replace like the ceiling stain, you know, on top of the ceiling, right? So when you walk into these properties, they can look a little bit distressed, okay? And when you're a probate realtor, you have to be comfortable with walking into these scenarios and looking at what could we do for this? How could we maximize this for the family? Okay. So let's talk about what type of cash offers are even out there in the marketplace. There's not as many realtors that you think. You say, oh, well, realtors do everything. I tell you what, there is not many realtors doing probate real estate. They may run across probate real estate here and there, but people that actually day in, day out are doing this on a regular basis, you're gonna find that it's very little competition. The most competition that you're gonna have is with investors, okay? And investors, if you look up any probate training out there, you're going to see investors love probate because why? Their grandma and grandpa's house, they need a full renovation a lot of times, and probate people have problems, right? Like they inherited a house out of state, there's a lifetime of contents in the house. How are we going to clean this out, right? So the same solutions that we provide probate families, they see as an opportunity to make a lot of money on the flips, okay? So the biggest competition that you're going to have is investors. So the families are going to be speaking to investors when you're speaking to them. Otherwise, like a for sale by owner or expired, they're talking to 10 realtors, okay? In probate, they're probably talking to maybe one, two, maybe realtors, and they're talking to like 10 investors, okay? So you're really like competing against investors in most cases, all right? So let's break down what is cash offers. What are cash offers? Because there's a couple different levels of cash offers and they're not all equal. So some of you may be familiar with like institutional buyers. These are not so common in the marketplace, but the last couple years, institutional buyers were huge. This is, the BlackRocks, the Open Door. This is those companies that were just coming in and gobbling up all the real estate. I'm not seeing them too active right now in our marketplaces. So that's a good news because those guys were paying top dollar, okay? And it was crazy because you would see them buy these houses and then they would do a couple things to fix them up, put them back on the market, and they were selling them for less than they bought them for. So obviously they're not doing a lot of deals right now because I don't think it was a very good business model, okay? But then you have the local investor. You've got the house flippers, okay? And the house flippers, think about it. They have to make a profit, okay? Which rightfully so. They're doing a lot of work, they're spending a lot of money fixing up this house. But guess what? There has to be meat on the bone for the investor to do the deal. Now, I've met investors at all different levels, okay? So there's some investors that they're like, "Hey, I'll do a deal because I'm making 15,000 a house," and they've got like 10 houses going at the same time, right? I've met some investors that say they're not going to do the deal unless they're making at least 100 grand, okay? So depending on the skill set of the investor, the resources of the investor, these guys can really range in what they offer families to buy the properties with based off of their leverage and based off of what their business model looks like, okay? Then you're going to have the buy and hold investor. Personally, that's my favorite investor, right? Because he's not looking to make a profit on this house today. He's looking at buying it at a decent price and then holding it for long term, building equity and renting the house out. Typically, that's always going to be the highest and best cash offer that you'll receive in a marketplace. But those guys are not as abundant as like the house flippers, okay? Now the last cash offer that I want to talk about, and I know different people have different opinions on this, but it's wholesalers, okay? And the wholesalers, what they do is they go out and they find the deal, they put it under contract, and they go and they sell the contract to an actual end buyer, okay? And what ends up happening on that is that obviously the wholesale buyer, the wholesale contract is going to be the lowest cash offer that you're going to receive in the marketplace. Now, I have seen this in some cases, they do come up, but if you're a realtor, okay, you don't really need a wholesaler because you're the middleman. right? So I don't need a middleman for the middleman, all right? But these are people that are reaching out to the probate families, and these are the different types of cash offers that they're getting phone calls from, right? They're getting prospected to and saying, hey, I'll buy your house cash, I'll buy your house cash. And the average consumer, the average executor that's going through probate, they don't know the difference. They don't know this guy from that guy. They don't know that this guy's willing to make 15 grand on a flip and this guy's willing to make 100, or, this is a wholesaler or this is an institutional buyer. They have no idea. They're not in real estate, okay? So it's our job as the probate realtor to really understand what cash offers are out there in the marketplace so you can help the family kind of navigate this, okay? So now that we kind of broke down what cash offers are out there, let's talk about how you can sell a property off market or on market, right? So this is another big misconception that's out there with executors is they think in order for me to do a cash offer, or if my house is not in the best shape, I can't market it to the whole market. I can't put it on the MLS because, it's grandma's old house and it needs work and it needs this, and those houses can't be sold on the market. So if you're a realtor here, that's not true, right? We sell houses on the market as is all the time, right? So really just educating them on what the options are. So if you do a deal off market, okay, and I've done plenty of deals off market, I've done plenty of cash deals off market. The problem with off market cash deals is that you're only showing a limited amount of people what that opportunity is, okay? And there's actually one more cash buyer I forgot to bring up because I'm going to tell you an example about this. The other cash buyer is a primary buyer, okay? And actually in 2025, we've been seeing a lot more of this lately. Since the interest rates have been so high, people are literally buying houses cash. They're not getting loans. So whether they're getting the money from some other source and then they're coming and buying real estate with cash, I'm not sure. But the primary buyer that is buying with cash right now is higher than I've seen in a long time. So this is where somebody maybe lives in the community, maybe the neighbor wants their son to buy the house next door, right? And this can be an opportunity that you can buy in the neighborhood a little bit under the value, but that actually is your highest and best cash buyer situation, okay? Now, is that guy gonna be searching the probate records and sending out letters and prospecting to try to find a house to buy? No, he's not, okay? If he sees it come on the market, then he's going to come forward and say, oh my gosh, dad, they're selling the house next door. This is our chance, right? So when you're doing it off market, the problem with that is that you're only, and especially in probate, it's only the people that are reaching out to you. So it's the investors that make it their business to reach out to families in probate are contacting you. People that are sending you letters are contacting you. So it's only a handful of buyers. Well, sales one-on-one, marketing one-on-one is supply and demand. So if you have a low demand for what you're selling, then obviously the price is going to come down. But if you have a high buyer pool, you have multiple people interested, then obviously that's going to drive up the demand and it's going to increase the value of your sale, right? So when would you use an off-market situation? There's a couple reasons why you would do this. One, it may be a totally, condemned house where you can't even have people walk in these, right? It may be that the family has some type of privacy thing going on that they don't want the whole world knowing about the sale. I have come across this a couple times in probate when there's been like suicide situations or just, things that just haven't been too good with the family that they don't want the whole world knowing that the house is for sale and all the things. This could also be when there's a lot of disputes with the family, like beneficiaries not getting along and not really coming to the table, right? That can be a situation. And simply that it could sometimes be that the family, just the emotional level, like they don't even want nothing to do with it. Like I've literally seen families do that where I've been like, okay, this is what, an off-market cash offer would be. And if we put it on the market, this is what I believe it will sell for. And then like, Carolyn, like this is so like hard for me. Like I don't care about the money. Like I just want this gone and over with, right? So yes, in those situations, you want to be able to be a resource for these people that you can bring in your off-market investors that can go ahead and give you a fair market value for this property. Okay. The nice thing about that is, hey, at the end of the day, the family is going to get less money than what they would get on the market. And then a lot of times in my situation is my investors will pay my commission. So the seller is not paying the commission, right? Because when you're competing with other investors out there, what is their whole pitch, right? No realtor commissions, no realtor commissions, And it's always funny because I show people side by side. I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad there's no realtor commissions, okay? But you're actually giving the investor like $150,000 of equity, dude. So I get it that there's no realtor commissions, but you're giving like, 100x to the investor. It's like they don't see that sometimes. They just think no realtor commissions. So there is circumstances, right? There is times when it just makes more sense to just handle things privately, handle things off the market, okay? But what I have found is that we take these houses that are less than perfect and we put them on the open market, okay? And I have done this with pretty bad houses and pretty nice houses and everything in between. Okay. And when you put the house on the MLS, think about like, how wholesalers work. Okay. Wholesalers, they have to, build up a buyer list and they have to find the house. Well, us as realtors, it's pretty easy. We have the MLS. So we have access to literally put our property on showcase for every single buyer on planet Earth can look into your house, can find out about your house. It goes on Zillow, realtor.com, social media, like everywhere. Put a sign in front of the yard. Everyone is going to know that this house is for sale, okay? When everybody knows that this house is for sale, guess what's going to happen? Every single buyer that's interested is going to approach you. Okay. And when I'm selling like distressed houses, like you're talking about this house needs work for sure. Like this house is definitely a flipper has to get it, or somebody that is going to put some work into this house because it is in not the best condition, you will not get one offer. You will not get 5 offers. You will get over 20 offers from investors in your marketplace. And as you do this regularly, and you put these type of houses on the market, I literally have an entire list of every single investor. So you also get your buyer list in like 2 seconds flat, right? Because you're having all these investors reach out to you, and then what you do with your customer is you're like, okay, we got, 10 offers at this price, 5 offers at this price, 2 offers at this price. And this guy was willing to come up ahead of all of them, right? So now we know 100% of the fact of what is absolute top dollar for this property, right? So let me share with you an example, okay? I was working with this lady and she was, it was an emotional sale for her, and she was getting tons of cash offers coming in, cash buyers calling her and stuff like that. So I asked her, like what are the top offers that you're getting? Like what is the maximum that they're willing to come in at? And she's like, honestly, the highest that I've gotten so far is 205, okay? Now, let me also preface this. When investors are making these cash offers, talk to the executors. They've never come out to see the house. Investors do not come out to see the house. They literally send a contract and they're like, if you accept this contract, then I'll come out to the house. So a lot of these investors' offers are just like fluff offers. They're just total bullshit, to be, excuse my French, okay? They have inspection periods built into them. Some of them have a 30-day contingency. Most of them only put down like $1,000 escrow, okay? They're literally just throwing spaghetti out on the wall to see what sticks, okay? I've also seen investor contracts where they literally have in the back, which I don't know how people sign these things. They literally have in the back where they're going to show the property to their buyers. Like they're literally showing the wholesale experience right there on the contract, okay? Which basically means they don't have a for sure deal. I'm not guaranteed to give you the contract price that is on there because I have a sometimes 30-day inspection period, 15-day inspection period. When I work with an investor personally, I tighten that inspection period up to either 0 or like 24 hours. Because me and you both know an investor doesn't need a 7-day, 15-day, 30-day inspection period. What that tells me as a real estate professional is you're shopping around. You're deciding if you want to really buy this place and you're giving yourself an exit so that you can get out right away and any time that you want. But executors that, first of all, never been in probate, second of all, don't sell houses on a regular basis, these things kind of just like fly over their head, you know? So what I do when I have a family that says, yeah, I want to do a cash offer, I say, let's talk about it. Let me help you review the offers. Let's look over these and let's see what is a good offer and what's not a good offer. So this family that I was sitting down with, she got an offer for 205,000 and it had in there a 15-day inspection period. And then it also had some other thing in there that you give access to the buyer to put a lockbox on the house and to have all their contractors come to the house and all the things like, no, no. You don't do that in real estate. You know, you have your little window of time that you can check out the house. And then after that, you don't have any access to the house until the closing day. That's just the way that it works, you know? So I said, listen, I'm confident that I can get this sold for you for over 300,000. Okay. Now she had a contract. The highest one she had was 205. I said, yes, I am going to charge a commission. Okay. And you know, the chances are I'll sell it myself, right? Because the investor will come directly to me and then we won't have to pay another realtor a commission. So I will only charge you the percentage that I charged her, 4% or whatever it was, just to represent her as the listing side of the commission. Okay. So yes, you're going to have to pay a commission, but you know, we're going to go to the market and get you a lot more money. So I always like to use this line, you know, that, what is it that I always like? I say, it's kind of funny. I say, my keep. That's what I say. I earn my keep, you know, which means that by having me involved, yes, you're going to pay me, but I'm going to actually earn it, you know, like I'm going to make you money, which is then you're going to say, yeah, Carolyn, I'd be happy to pay you, you know, your percentage or whatnot. Okay. So we end up, you know, the house like tidying up a little bit, you know, I always believe in a good presentation. I always do professional photos on as is, even if it's going to be for an investor. Okay. I believe in presentation. So I got professional photography. I, you know, had her, you know, remove some of the clutter and some of the stuff around. Okay. And then boom, we went to the market. Would you know that we got multiple offers and we ended up selling the house for $325,000. Okay. Because why? She was dealing with, I don't know what level of investor it was. Maybe it was a wholesaler, maybe it was, you know, but she was dealing with the bottom of the market and that's it. Nobody else knew that this house was for sale. Well, you know who ended up buying the house? The lady down the street for her son, cash. Okay. So had we not put the opportunity out there to the world so that everybody could see that this house was for sale, she would never have had the opportunity and we would have never gotten that buyer. Okay. So I want to challenge you guys with this today. When sellers and executors are telling you they want cash offers, you could do it off market, no problem. Okay. But if we put it on the market in the MLS and offer it out to the whole world, I bet you a banana split, you're going to make 10x what you would have made if you would have sold that house off market to a cash investor. Okay. So that's my 2 cents for today. I hope you guys pick something up from this. When dealing with cash offers, you really need to know how to maneuver them working in probate, because a lot of people are looking for cash offers in this space. Okay. And if you found this helpful, I want to invite you to come to tomorrow's master class. So the link is in my bio if you're on Instagram. And if you're on YouTube, I'll put it in the description. Go to my bio, click on my free master class, and me and you will get to spend about an hour-ish time tomorrow together. And I am going to be breaking down my system of how I find probate leads, how I cultivate them, and how I close them from cold call to close. Okay. And I promise you, you're going to walk away knowing about probate, knowing how to attack probate, and start your 2026. Guys, we're in October. Tomorrow is October 1st. So we have October, November, December. Everybody knows real estate starts slowing down. The holidays are coming. Don't let that be you. 2025 is not a market you can be sleeping in. You've got to be running in this market. You've got to be working like 10x than what you were doing in 2024, 2023. If you want to be closing deals and you want to have consistent commission checks, I would like to introduce you to probate real estate, and you can make probate real estate part of your plan for 2026. Okay, guys? So thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And I hope to see you tomorrow in the master class. Okay? See you guys there. Have a great day. Bye.